three secrets. I want to be honest with you. By me simply telling these three secrets, is it enough to change your life? Type in yes or no in the chat window, everyone. Am I telling you, am I communicating this message that simply you master these three secrets and your life will change? Am I saying that? No, I'm not saying that. Do not get me wrong. I don't want to give any kind of misunderstanding to you, any kind of manipulation to you. If you really want to master your life the way I did and the way all these people have, you need all the 11 secrets. But I want to give you this flavor of three secrets to start with. And you remember what I told you in the beginning of the training program today? What is the investment of this course that I want you to be mentally ready for? How much do you remember was the amount? Come on, everyone tell me how much was the amount in the chat window. Let's see how many of you remember. Good, you remember about a lakh of rupee. Now, you also remember I said don't invest if you're not convinced. But once you're 110% convinced that you can actually have this kind of success, and when I'm saying this kind of success, I don't only mean these people, I also mean my kind of people who started with laziness and who have this feeling that I'm useless and maybe even went as down as trying to commit a suicide like me. And if you think I can be successful and these people can be successful, so can you. Well, in that case, you need to commit to these 11 secrets. Will it be worth it if you could actually achieve this kind of secret? And I'm including myself in it. If you could achieve my kind of success today, or these kind of people's success today, practicing advanced law of attraction with these 11 secrets, do you think it's worth that 1 lakh? Everyone tell me worth it or not worth it in the chat window. And we will not move on until you give me an answer. Come on, everyone give me an answer. Worth it or not worth it? When you are 100% clear that this is the kind of success that's possible by practicing all these 11 law of attraction secrets. Okay, it's worth it. Perfect. Then remember your commitment. Don't stop at basics. Let's move on to advanced. Okay, ready? Perfect. Here we go. So, secret number one. The secret number one that I'm talking about is something which I learned specifically from two people, Wayne Dyer and Dr. Sudhir Arora. And this is the secret. When I mastered it, many years ago, I met a gentleman. His name was, when I started teaching advanced law of attraction to people personally, I met a gentleman called Manoj. Everyone write down his name, Manoj. Now, Manoj at that time had gone through 40 lakhs of debts when he met me for the first time. 40 lakhs. Now, this was about 18 or 19 years ago when 40 lakhs was a huge amount. Okay. 3 banks were behind him. True story. This story is even part of my book, by the way. So 40 lakhs he lost. 3 banks were behind him. He had decided to commit suicide. My uncle was the one who gave me his reference and he said, Mitesh, can you please talk to Manoj once? And I said, okay. And I remember when Manoj came to talk to me, the first thing he said was, you are my last hope. If what you're saying doesn't work, then I will commit suicide. And I had so much pressure on my head. In my mind, I was saying, have you come to learn or have you come to take my test? Can you imagine somebody telling you, if what you're saying is not going to work for me, I'm going to go and commit suicide? It's like, pagal hai? Are you crazy? And so I went to Indu, true story. I said, Indu, tell him to go back. Because kuch ho gaya, to panga ho jayega. So Indu said, listen, let's just follow that number one rule of law of attraction. And there's this one number one rule of advanced law of attraction that we all follow. Everyone take your hands like this. Say, don't ask how, don't ask when, just use it. Once again, don't ask how, don't ask when, just use it. So Indu said, Mitesh, who you have become today is already a magical miracle. If you can become this, why can't his life change with advanced law of attraction? She said, do you believe in advanced law of attraction? I said, yes, I do. She said, then just let him learn it first. Then you leave it to him and then you leave it to the universe. But at least give him the opportunity to live. How many of you think that was great advice? Type in GA, great advice, if you think that was great advice from Indu. And believe it or not, I took that opportunity and I spoke to Manoj and I taught him the entire advanced law of attraction. But one of the first lessons I started with him was the number one secret. And I proved it to him that, Manoj, what you're going through right now in your life is not because of your financial problems. It's because of what we call as our golden ratio of success. Everyone write down the golden ratio of success. And he had never heard about this, the golden ratio of success. So I said, if you don't change this ratio in your body and your mind, even if you clear your loan of 40 lakhs, the similar problem will come back in your life. He's like, come on, Mitesh, what are you trying to say? I said, I can prove it to you on stamp paper. Look back in your life. And how many of you would agree with me? Type in me in the chat window if you can relate with this. That your problems have been repeating. Type in me if you agree with me. You solve it, it comes in another fashion. You change your job, you find a similar boss somewhere else. You break up in one relationship, you find yourself in a similar relationship somewhere else. You make money, suddenly your expenses go up and your finances are gone for a toss again. How many people have experienced this? Problems repeat. Problems repeat. Yes or no? I'll tell you why problems repeat. Because what I learned in the golden ratio was that everything in the universe is what? Everyone show me your hands. Everything in the universe is what? Energy. And energy has frequency. And this golden ratio frequency, if you don't fix it, inside you, because that frequency is low, doesn't matter how many opportunities you have, you're going to go back and repeat the same problems again. So Manoj couldn't believe it when I told him this. And then I asked him this one question. I said, Manoj, listen, you've tried your style and now anyways you've decided to commit suicide. Has it worked for you? He said, no. I said, okay, give me 30 days of practicing the 11 secrets of advanced law of attraction. If it doesn't work for you, commit suicide on the 31st day. Na? Kahan bhaga ja raha hai life? If you want, go on the 31st day. I'm not stopping you. Who am I to stop you? Can you postpone your plan for 30 days? He was very confused when I said this because he was not expecting for me to say, okay, 30 din baat kar lena, right? So he was confused, but what do you think he said? Did he say yes or did he say no? I was anyways his last hope. So he said, okay, I'll practice. And he started practicing all the 11 secrets, amongst which the first one was the biggest one. And believe it or not, within 30 days, all the 3 banks, they called him back and they literally told him, we are ready to give you 1 year extension of loan. And they stopped calling him. 1 full year, they gave him an extension. And they were all saying that they want to take his house away. Now, the best part was he recovered that entire 40 lakhs. And today, he's a millionaire. And this is Manoj. That's his photograph. A real human being right in front of you, mastered his emotional frequency. And now he's actually earning in millions. His minimum income every month right now is 10 lakhs. Type in wow in the chat window if you think this is a wow. A man who was going to commit suicide is now making millions and he's happy in all 4 areas of life. He's done Vipassana 3 times by now. And he never gets in his office and he never sits down on his chair without practicing the golden ratio. He never, ever, ever does that. He calls me regularly and he says, Mitesh, even now, I go to my office, I don't sit down on my chair until I don't change my golden ratio. How many of you would love to know what is this golden ratio? Type in, tell me in the chat window. Come on, how many of you want to know? Type in, tell me in the chat window. Okay. So the golden ratio is about your emotional frequency. In simple words, emotional habit. Everyone write down emotional habit / frequency. Now, what is an emotional habit or an emotional frequency? I'll give you an example. From the time you wake up in the morning till the time you sleep at night, you have a certain emotional habit. Certain time of the day, you have similar feelings happening again and again as a habit. Let me give you an example. How many people here, you realize that you are naturally high on energy in the morning time and naturally low on energy in the end of the day? Type in I in the chat window if you fall into this category where morning your energy is very high, but the moment the day goes in the end of the day, your energy goes down. Now, this is an emotional habit. If you don't believe me, let me prove it to you. How many people here can tell me in your chat window that you are the opposite? Type in opposite in the chat window. Morning, you're very lazy. As the evening starts, you become more and more energetic. And you can actually wake up till 1 o'clock at night and you're full of energy in the evenings and you can't sleep. And in the morning, you feel sleepy all the time. Now, that is also an emotional habit. During the day, have you ever noticed certain times of the day, your energy not only goes up and down, certain times of the day, your emotions become same, which means certain parts of the day, you're angry. Certain time of the day, you're hasmukh, you're humorous, you smile, you laugh, you make people laugh. But certain part of the day, you're super frustrated. Now, how many of you can relate with what I'm saying? that our emotions have habits during the day, from the time we wake up in the morning till the time we sleep in the evening. Now, these emotions is what we call as your golden ratio. Now, what do you mean by the golden ratio? Firstly, let me tell you a normal ratio. Then I'll tell you what is the golden ratio. Ready? Here we go. A normal ratio is an example of 50-50. What does that mean? If let's say you could count, and in the advanced law of attraction course, we've developed a mechanism where you can actually count this frequency. Let's say that you discovered that your emotional frequency is 50-50. Why have I said green and red over there? Positive and negative. How many of you feel positive emotions during the day? Type in P in the chat window. How many of you feel negative emotions in the day? Type in N in the chat window. Do we feel both? Yes. But do we feel 100% positive during the day? Come on, tell me quickly. No. Do we feel 100% negative during the day? No. You think you do, but you don't. Right? Even a depressed person for 4-5 minutes gets out of that depression when they're eating food or when they're taking care of somebody else. They get into that feeling of contribution for sometimes. Yes or no? So there is always a ratio that we have, which is a normal ratio. It can be sometimes like 50-50. 50% of the day you're feeling positive, 50% of the day you're feeling negative. Now, if somebody who has this ratio of 50-50, doesn't matter how good their life becomes, they will continue to attract how many problems in their life. How much percentage of their lives will keep attracting problems? You tell me in the chat window. It's a logical point right in front of you. If 50% of my emotions are negative during the day by habit, how much percentage of my life will I have problems? Tell me quickly. 50%. Simple. Now, if I keep using affirmations the whole day, but 50% of my emotions are negative half the day, do you think my affirmations can make my life 100% positive? No, because the whole ratio of emotions is screwed up. What does that mean? Half the day, I'm frustrated, I'm angry. Like, how many of you can relate to this, by the way? That you're saying affirmations in the morning, you're saying affirmations at night, but during the day, you go through a lot of negative emotions. Give me some words in the chat window, everyone. What are the negative emotions you go through? And what are the emotions you're going through right now in your day? Example, frustration, helpless, self-doubt, feeling lack of money, feeling I'm not good enough, feeling sad. Some of you go through anxiety, depression. How many of you are going through these feelings? Come on, anger, irritation. Now, somebody who's short-tempered and irritated half the day, doesn't matter how much hope no they do, doesn't matter how much visualization they do, because of that ratio, they will continue attracting that percentage of their life as negative, because that's their ratio. I'll give you a quick example. Have you heard about people, have you heard about a situation when there was like a 9/11 situation? How many of you remember that? Type in R for remember. A 9/11 where like the twin towers were hit in US with a plane and the tower fell down, right? Or a similar situation happened in India with the terrorists attacked on Taj Hotel on 26/11. Do you remember that? Do you think the whole country was depressed that day? Type in yes or no. The whole country was depressed that day. Type in yes or no. Come on, everyone, tell me quickly. Is it natural that the whole country was depressed that day? Take your hands like this. Take your hands like this. Give yourself a tappu and say no. The whole country was not depressed. I'll tell you why. Your emotional frequency, here is how it works. All of you repeat what I'm saying. Come on. Are you ready? Come on. Are you ready? Okay, listen. Repeat with me. Say, crisis and opportunities don't make us feel anything. They multiply our existing emotional habits. Repeat it again. Crisis and opportunities don't make us feel anything. They multiply our existing emotional habits. Example, if a person is used to feeling sad and sees that news of 26/11, will they be sad or depressed? Tell me quickly in the chat window, everyone. Will they be sad or depressed? Come on, give me an answer quickly. I'm waiting for all of you. Come on, quickly. A person who's used to being sad as a habit sees the 26/11 situation, gets into depression. 10 times sad. Why? Because that's their habit. So any crisis or any opportunity will multiply your emotions by 10 times, which is your habit. Any existing habit will be multiplied. Crisis and opportunities works like fuel on your existing emotions. And another example of that is someone who's used to feeling positive even in a crisis situation, someone who's very patient, if they go through problems in their life, do they become more patient or less? Do they become more patient or less? Everyone tell me quickly in the chat window, more patient or less? Yeah, more. Why? Because that's their success ratio. That is their ratio. They're like 80% positive, 20% negative. Now, some people have 50-50 and some people have 20-80, which means only 20% positive and 80% negative. So just an example right now. But before I continue, is this mind-blowing right now? Type in MB for chat window, mind-blowing. If this is mind-blowing information that our success ratio depends on our emotional ratio. Do you want to know what is the golden ratio? Everyone tell me in the chat window, tell me, right? Tell me in the chat window if you want me to tell you what is the golden ratio. Now I'll tell you the golden ratio, but before that, quick exercise. Tell me what's your current ratio in the chat window, positive and negative, same sequence. When I did this exercise for the first time, my ratio was 80% negative, 20% positive. I'm being honest with you. 80% negative, 20% positive. What's your ratio right now? And believe it or not, if your ratio is more negative than positive, if it's even beyond 50-50, whoa, doesn't matter how many opportunities you attract, some of the other problems will keep getting attracted because the ratio is that way. So what is the golden ratio? The golden ratio is exactly this. Let me show it to you. This is the golden ratio, 80-20, which means 80% positive and 20% negative. Unless and until you make this as your ratio, it won't work.
Okay, I found
How
this
many
on
of
the
you
web
agree
for
that
as a ratio.
if your emotional ratio is 80% positive and 20% negative, your life is golden? Type in yes in the chat window if you agree with me. Logically, does it make sense? Logically. Type in logically correct LC. Type in logically correct LC if you agree that anybody, any human being on this earth who has a habit, emotional habit of 80-20, they're in the golden ratio of success. They are going to attract success in their life. Yes or no? Simple. So when COVID happened, anybody who had a 80-20 ratio, did they find a way to be successful? Yes or no? Yes. Anybody who had the opposite ratio or anything less than this, did they find a reason to fail? Yes, because that was their ratio. For how many of you this is eye-opening right now? Type in EO if this is eye-opening right now. I'll give you a very good story. Do you want a story? Everyone type in S for story in the chat window. So there's this wonderful student of ours. Her name is Alia. Now, when Alia met me, she was going through a lot of struggle in her relationships because of a lot of marriage issues were going on, not getting along with her in-laws, not getting the right job, not getting the right promotion. And she realized that her ratio was not correct. And at that time, when she met me, she was crying almost every day for a few minutes, at least like half an hour to 1 hour every day. She used to cry for some reason or the other. How many of you are doing this right now? Type in me in the chat window if you cry for some reason or the other. Like if nothing, you'll cry for happy reasons, but you cry. How many of you here are crybabies? Come on, type in me in the chat window. Now, Alia was a crybaby. And she realized that that's the reason she was not succeeding. So she changed her golden ratio, and here is what happened. That's Alia. She literally saved her marriage in 3 months after that. Okay. And she got promoted and got an actual hike of 40% in her salary. Type in wow in the chat window if you agree this is a wow. Not just saved marriage, but also got a 40% hike in job. How? Improve the golden ratio. Get the golden ratio. Everyone type in the chat window, get the golden ratio. Once you get the golden ratio, difficult for someone for you to stop you from succeeding. But listen to me carefully. Am I saying that only applying the golden ratio is enough for you? Tell me yes or no in the chat window. Did I say that? That only the golden ratio is enough? No. How many secrets did I tell you in the beginning? Come on, everyone. How many secrets did I tell you? All 11. Remember that? I'm just giving you 3 of them as an introduction. Is this getting exciting? If yes, tell me if you're ready for secret number 2. Are you ready for secret number 2? Okay, so here we go. Secret number 2 is something so crazy that let me tell you a beautiful story about this one. There's a guy who was working in an IT company and he wanted to become a trainer like me. He wanted to become a coach like me. How many people here want to become a trainer or a coach like me? Type in me in the chat window if you're excited to be a trainer or a coach like me. I was super excited in my life. So this guy, he met me again many years ago, true story. And he was learning everything from me about law of attraction and advanced law of attraction. But there was this one particular secret that he was not implementing. So he learned everything, went and he started doing training programs, and he started doing business coaching, and he started losing money. And why do you think he started losing money? Because what was low in his life? Everyone, show me your hands. Frequency. Take your hands like this, say frequency. His frequency was low. And he kept giving himself excuse that the market is down, my business partners are not good enough, and all of that. And then I remember he called up Indu and he said, Indu, what's going wrong? Like, I don't know, what am I doing wrong? And then Indu made him apply this one secret, which he was not doing. And that was the biggest mistake that he was making. And that's the biggest mistake that most of us are making, by the way. And we need to stop making this mistake. Indu and I, we made sure that he stops making this mistake. And I'll tell you who he is and what he's achieved today. His name is Bhupendra Rathore. In short, he's also called as Coach BSR.